Hey everyone, in this episode we're going to show you how to operate a tractor. Check this out. Everyone, in this video we're going to show you how to drive a tractor. We're running a Cat Challenger Series machine. We did partner with Adam and Ron Girgen in Minnesota, Girgen Farms. Big partners that have helped us a lot. We've been out a few times with them. This is a very entry level. I tell you, a lot of our videos are construction based, but we also wanted to do a few of these farming pieces of equipment. So I'm just going to give you a very entry level training video on operating one of these machines. Just like I say in our construction videos, we already know the site. You know, Adam's running the combine here. So I know, obviously you want to know if there's any hazards at all, anything around. So we've already checked those and we are good to go. They've already done a pre-op on this machine today. So again, let's get in the machine and we'll show you how it runs. First thing, as I say with all these, 3 points of contact, getting in or out of any equipment, it's very important. Okay, so after I sit down, seatbelt on. Now again, this is a Challenger Series machine from Cat. It's a tracked tractor. You'll see the normally steering wheel is operate very similar as a wheeled tractor. There's obviously, everything's a little bit different there, but just going over some of the base controls. Steering column right there on the side. So with this machine, it's in park right now. Right here is a switch on my my gear selector, but I can see the P on the display, so nothing's gonna work as far as steering this. But again, it's pretty simple on these. They don't take much steering, these track machines. You just subtly turn them just a little bit. My pedals, although you don't really have to use them much on these, the left, there is a clutch that you can use. It'll bring it down to neutral. The right is a brake pedal, traditional. And then the third right one is a decelerator, similar to how we show our bulldozers. You put that down, it brings the engine down to idle. So you see if I throttle this up, bring it down like that, brings it down. Typically, again, in these machines, you don't need to use that as much, but that's what those three pedals do. Now, on here, I've got a series on the right of different controls. You know, obviously for harvest season, they've got all their weights and scales and everything right in there that'll measure the load in the actual hauling a grain bin. We are harvesting corn today. So all those are right there. Climate control and everything is over on the left. And then down below here, so I've got my throttle right here, and I'm looking at my RPM setting. I will use this to kind of fine tune my speed when we actually go into unload there. My shifter right there, it's 16 speed. Typically for harvest, we'll be running around 6 or so when they're actually unloading into it. And then there's a bunch of hydraulic controls over here on the side that'll control the grain bin or whatever piece we have. So on here, my number 3, if you look, I've got a grain bin there. If I actually pull that, you'll see that this will bring out the discharge chute for the grain bin. Again, these can be programmed differently. This is how this machine's set up, but that'll bring that out. Once that's out, my number 2 will actually change my head on where it's aiming, so I can move that depending on where I'm unloading. And the number 1's actually going to open that chute. It's going to open into the auger. So again, I'm going to retract that, and ultimately, if there's the PTO switch over here, if I wanted to actually unload it, then I would engage that. That would actually turn the auger to unload out of there. But we're going to go ahead and store this again by pushing up on it. Now, as I'm pulling this back again, there are a lot of different tractors are great on a farm. They can do a lot of different things, whether they're towing the disc to till up the ground, when they're planting. Today we are in the final stage of harvest for corn season, so that's why we're towing a grain bin today. So again, I'm going to bring it back down to idle, and then to take it out of park, it's pretty simple here. I pull up, there's a little switch on the front of these, and that'll see it's in neutral now. Now that I'm in neutral, again, steering this is just left or right like that. So if I put this, now my gear selector is on the side, I will see once I put this, forward is forward. So if I go, it'll go, and I can bring it back to neutral. And then same thing, putting it in reverse, we'll go backwards. So that's as simple as just shifting gears there. Right now I'm in neutral and I can see what gear selector I'm setting it there to start. And then again, you see a little bit of turn there is all I need to do to switch that. I'm gonna go ahead, put it in forward. And this is where I'll give it a little bit of throttle. Now Adam is running the combine over there. We did a separate video on operating the combine. So typically, the grain cart's gonna be sitting back a little bit. They're running, corn obviously takes up a lot. So typically we're gonna be sitting back and waiting till the combine really calls to, they need to empty their bin. For most combines, they're gonna have the lights when you see those operating on them. That's the indicator they're at 70-75% fill, and that's where we're gonna try and line up with them. Now typically my job is to get in a straight row right next to them and get underneath that discharge from the combine. So that's eventually what I'll be looking for. Now Adam's running the combine, you see right in front of me there. And again, I will just be monitored. Usually I'll be further down. I was coming up to help him a little bit with that machine. But again, for this, usually in here you can start in 4 or 5, whatever gear there. I'm gonna put it in forward. And then I'm gonna adjust my speed using the throttle once I get closer. So a lot of times you can try and look for the previous, the tires basically from the combine from the last run. You can kind of see them up here, and that's kind of what you're trying to run down to center yourself on those. But I'll be waiting. I do not want to pull up next to them while that chute is down. With our bin, it'll basically, it would hit the side of the bin. So, but then ultimately my role will be to just stay in a straight line, getting right underneath that at the same speed. Typically we're running about 3.2, so that's where I'll be able to see my speed up here. So typically I'll be running around 1500 RPMs. Really just depends. I mean, if you're going relatively flat, I can keep it in 6th gear on this one. You'll know I can drop the gears, raise the RPMs depending on how loaded the bin is and if I'm going up or down a hill. Typically the gears 10 and up are going to be for driving on the roads. I've got all my cameras while I'm driving here over in the right. There's a rear view camera behind the grain bin there when I'm driving on the road. But then ultimately, typically running the grain bin, you'll be sitting out in the open and almost either you're running back and forth to a tractor trailer to unload the grain bin, or I'm sitting there waiting for the lights to come on the combine to let me know he needs to unload. I'm kind of just running close to him right now, just because I didn't think he was, I think he was about half full already when we started. You'll see here while I'm driving just a subtle, with these tracked machines like this, I'm barely moving that steering wheel. That's, I think, one of the things, just being really, it's, when I first operated this tractor, it reminded me kind of a bulldozer, is slow, subtle, little adjustments. Now I see the actual lights coming on that combine, so he should be, he'll extend his chute here in a moment. I'll wait till that comes out. Sometimes depending on where he's at, he might try and wait until he's coming near the end there. So a lot of this, I'm just sitting back waiting for the combine operator to decide. You can start to see, and then with the bins on the combine, you can see how full they get. Obviously you're trying to avoid it spilling over there. I can see he's right near the end, and he's really close to topping it off there. So, but again, it's tough to start the unload, to pull that, get the auger running if you're right near the end, and then you have to basically stop while you're doing the turn. So smart move for him to kind of wait until the end here, and then we'll get it on the next round. Now he's got the chute out, and I'm just trying to aim my nose to basically be right underneath it. And then I'll try and match his speed. And then I'm just trying to stay centered right down. Bringing it down to about 3.2. And if I'm just maintaining that straight right down, he's maintaining where he's filling it in there. The key is just maintaining a constant speed in a straight line. Let the operator of the combine, he'll be able to adjust back and forth where he needs to fill in there. And then he's done. Once he's done, I'm going to pull away. Now this is where if we had another truck running, I'd be running up, speeding it up to get this unloaded if I was full. Again, I'll be able to hold a lot more. At this point, he's got the last run here, so I'm just going to go ahead and run ahead. Then I'm just bringing it down to idle, put it in neutral, and again, parking once I'm in neutral, just pulling this up, flipping it over, I'll see a parking brake on there. After that, I can pull this up. Hey everyone, so that's how to drive a tractor. Again, that was very entry level. If there's any farmers or anyone that operate these a lot, please put a comment below. Any tips or tricks for new operators that are running these. Again, thanks a lot for watching our videos. Make sure you subscribe and we'll see you on the next one.